it's Kim back from Making Creative Memories in Time, and today is the 4th Thursday of the month, which means it's also 52 Project Recipe Collab Day with my beautiful friend Nicole over at Recording the Journey with Nicole. Her video is linked down below, and I know that you guys are going to love her take on this sketch. So this month we are focusing on project recipe number 37, and it's actually shown using Wonderful Day collection, which is a beautiful collection. And I probably would have used that collection, but I really need to get some Christmas photos wrapped up so that, yes, 2002 can be complete. I literally like this layout and the closing page for Ashley's 2002, and it is wrapped up. So when you look at this, there's lots of fun things here. You've got 5 photos on this page and 2 photos on this page. These are kind of small, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then a 4 by 6 and a 4 by 4. And then over here, you've got a 4 by 4 and a 4 by 6. This is supposed to be a 2.5 by 12, and this one is supposed to be a 4 by 12. And so what I did is I looked at the photos that I wanted to tell the story of Ashley's Christmas 2002. And the way I do this is there's going to be a lot more of these photos in my family album for that year. This is just what I want to highlight on a 2-page layout in Ashley's book. So I'm really changing this sketch up a lot this time. So this blue piece here is supposed to be 2 different pieces of paper. It's supposed to be a 9 by 4 1/4 and a 3 by 9. And then on this side, the blue piece is supposed to be a 9 by 7 1/2. I wanted to use this Home for Christmas paper. And so what I did is I looked at, okay, I want my photos to be matted on this. I'm going to look and see if I can find this for you. It's like a script. It's like a black, like with Santa's handwriting. I wanted my photos to be like matted on that because I knew that would help them pop from the red. Not as much the green, but from the red. And so I knew for the base, I needed the green paper. I couldn't use, the black would be too heavy. The tartan plaid would be heavy. And then the other papers are like this poinsettia or this hero paper. And all of that would just be too busy, too heavy at the bottom. So I opted for the green, the evergreen color. And I did both strips at 2.5, okay? Both strips are at 2.5. And instead of it being all the way down at the bottom, now remember, sometimes I keep these sketches pretty true. Sometimes I'm just literally inspired by the sketches, and that's kind of what's going to happen today. So I'm going to move this up about 2 inches from the bottom. This is the 9 by 4 1/2, and because it is a heavy paper, like busy, bold, to me, I refer to that heavy, but it's not as bold as your hero or your floral poinsettia paper. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do is we're going to make this work in a way, and this may end up being a third, like this may end up being on a flip flap. I'm not sure. I went ahead and backed it. I'm not sure how that's going to be. These are going to go in flip flaps, and I'm going to have some decorative journal space here. We just have to see how heavy that one is going to be up there. I don't know that I want it up there. It may end up down here. I was trying to keep some integrity to the photo or to the sketch. I was thinking maybe I could cut this in half and have the photo happen on this page and have the photo happen on this page. I've done things like that before. Not necessarily that it's my favorite thing to do, but I have done that before. I just feel like that's a lot happening there. And then again, it may end up and be the photo down here. I am going to pull in this little banner. So it could be some balance for that little banner. I'm just talking my way through this, friends. I do think the joy of Christmas's family may happen here. So that can balance that out. Let's just go with it and see what we have. And then also, just to pull in some more of that black, and you're only going to see it in between photos and at the end. This is a zip strip, and I'm going to let this just sort of overlay so that there's a little finishing touch here. And you'll mostly see it on this page at the end. And then over here, you'll see it in between. So let's just go ahead, dig in, get started, and see where this takes us, friends. Okay? Let's pull all of these off. And I did go ahead and pre-cut my photos and mat them just so it would be quicker, if you will. Let's get this taped down. Y'all know I like to either use the removable glue dots or some mint tape. Creative Memories is supposed to come out with, I think they were calling it a place tape, which will hold stencils and things in place. Same thing, mint tape, low-tack tape. They do the same thing. And there is even some versions you can pick up like at Michael's or Hobby Lobby that's white. All it is it's just a low-tack tape that will not peel your paper up. Okay? So we're going to align this at 2 inches. And the thing that I want you to take away from what I'm doing today, friends, is sketches. I designed the September virtual crop. I designed 3 of the September virtual crop sketches. I had feedback from some people who participated that my sketches didn't call for enough photos. If you know me, you know my design style is, I'm very linear, very linear. And that I design with fewer photos because I am, and I know everybody's scrapbooking is different, but I'm trying to give you some pointers here, friends, about using sketches. I am about really choosing the right photos to tell your story. So like the reason, and this is a good thing about going back and scrapbooking a Christmas from 23 years ago, what really did I want to tell? Again, there's going to be more of these photos in my family album. This is Ashley's peepaw, her dad's dad. He's no longer with us. He passed away in 2008. Ashley only had him for 8 years. And I really wanted to capture, because for the rest of her life, there's not going to be pictures of her and her peepaw. So I really wanted these pictures to tell a story here. Look at his excitement watching her open presents. Look at her excitement opening presents with her peepaw. These pictures, this is her Amy T, my sister. And this reminds me of the little TikTok, the little girl putting on lipstick. And when her dad asked where she got her lipstick, she said Home Depot. So this was just prior. And she was telling her Auntie T that she needed some makeup and she needed some lipstick. So this is a picture of her putting that lipstick on. And I really wanted to capture just all of that excitement and how fun it was, right? And then this is just a picture of her and her mommy. And then this is a picture of me and her and my uncle. And Uncle has also passed away. But I want to tell the story of how these two men were such an amazing part of her life, and how both of them loved being with her at Christmas. Him, up until his, passing days, and then Uncle passed away in 2020, so Ashley was 20, so she had him a lot longer in her life, but the relationship that she had with both of these men was just so important. And so what I want to talk about here is, I want to talk about the joy of Christmas is family, and I want to tell this story and then just the love. So that's why I have this journal spot here and this journal spot here. I don't think journaling down here would capture what I want. And I say all of that to say, sketches work for you. Just because a sketch has 5 photos on this page and 2 photos on this page doesn't mean that has to be how you interpret that sketch. It doesn't mean this is verbatim. Sometimes we want them to be identical. We need the scrapbook, we need it to be fast and easy, and we want the whole, let me just scrapbook, take the design element out of it, and just let me scrapbook. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we want that. But ultimately, the way I perceive sketches, and it could just be me, I perceive sketches as a springboard to creativity. And the springboard can be whatever you want it to be, friends. It can be scrap it exactly the way it was intended. Use it as a beginning place to help with your creativity. And then, most importantly, have it work for the photos that you have and the story that you want to tell, or stories that you want to tell. So, although this is Christmas Eve at my grandmother and my sister's house on this page, Christmas morning at Peepaw's house, this is still the story of the joy of Christmas is family. That is still ultimately the story that I am telling. And, so I made this sketch work for the photos that I have and the stories that I want to tell. So all of that to say, make a sketch work for you. And like this, I literally rotated and thought about, okay, I know I want these pieces to be even in width, right? So I went with the 2.5 instead of the 4. I didn't want the page to feel real heavy. I knew I wanted lots of white space. And then I thought, okay, I don't want the little photos at the bottom, but let's go. I kept the 4x6 and the 4x4. Kept that true. And then over here, I kept it true as well. And then this is where I deviated, right? I cut this smaller, but I made it work for what I'm doing ultimately, for the pictures and the story that I want to tell. So let's go ahead. I've got all of that glued down. And be creative with sketches. Like I said, and there's no right or wrong way. Let your sketches and your pictures and your stories, let them be what dictates how you scrapbook. And again, there's not a right or wrong. If you like a lot more photos than what I use, there is nothing wrong with that. You use more photos. It's just everybody has their own personal preference. And sometimes it's fun to be a little outside our comfort zone and look at papers differently, look at photo placement differently. But ultimately, you, as a scrapbooker, memory keeper, designer, have to tell your stories in a way that matters for you. I do think I am going to keep this up here, friends. I do. And you will notice, if you go back and look at the way you started scrapbooking, whenever that was. For me, it was in 1999. She was born in 2000, and for me, it was in 1999. I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably need to wipe this one more time before they go in the albums. And my style has changed dramatically, friends. Dramatically. So these are going to be flip-flaps. And what will happen is I'll pull just some little things and stick on here to make it a little more decorative. Draw some lines in and do some journaling there. But just so it doesn't feel empty, we're going to go ahead and put our photos on. So I do think I want this, the story of Christmas, up here. And I want to build a little something around that, okay? Let me pull in a silicone mat so I can stick. I love this. I love this Holly Jolly. But I almost feel like it needs to happen on this page. That way I pull that little gray through on both pages. I think up here, let's just see what this is going to look like, friends. I'm not sure. This definitely needs, and I don't care for this to overlap that one photo. I want the red to show through there. And let's see. I'm trying to create a little bit of a cluster here. And let's just pull in, even though this is like a little speech bubble, let's just pull this in. Oh, that's crooked. Let's turn this around, friends. This is what I get for not standing up when I scrapbook, but I do not want my head in the camera. Well, I can't be the only one. I could edit this out, but I cannot be the only one, friends. Meticulous fussing, embellishment placement, and that sort of adds just a little. I could ink around that, and I probably will splatter in some ink just to make that look a little finished, or put in some red enamel dots or some green enamel dots. Okay, now over here, I want to do this little banner. And I don't really have any of the wood, but this is going to pick up that wood tone. So let's just go ahead and start. Well, that's the same sticker. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to separate those two pieces of red. We couldn't have planned that any better if we tried. Okay. And now let's look at these little embellishment pieces. Let's just look at what we have. Again, this is an older, actually, I think this was the very last Christmas collection that Close to My Heart had, friends. Isn't that sad? The very last Christmas collection that we had. So that we can pull in a little bit of a round element over here. Maybe we'll put, and I think what I'm going to do, because this is thick, I think we're going to cut this in half and just use half of it. And I'm just cutting it with a longer pair of scissors. And we'll build like a little cluster here. And you know this sticker that we want to use that says Holly Jolly. I don't want to use it on the black. And I think I'm just going to cut this piece off and just make it an actual sticker. And I think we're going to do the Holly Jolly. Oops, let's go ahead and adhere this. Cute little thing. And we'll do the Holly Jolly right there. And I am going to need a little bit of foam tape right behind that because there is a little gap. I can take that under. There we go. And then I do think I want to add a poinsettia, but I don't want one of these red poinsettias. I want to fussy cut a poinsettia. And I think I'm good with this just being what this is. The plaid, I'll build like a little poinsettia right here. Finish this cluster off. We're going to tie that together with a black pin. Okay. And then over here, we'll do, I think we're finished with these pieces, friends. I think, let's just look one more time. Giving Gifts, Merry and Bright. I do like that Merry and Bright, but I feel like I have a lot going on over there on that page. I feel like I have a lot going on that page. I wonder though, or let's just see, friends. I'm so thankful I hadn't really stuck that down. So thankful. I may want to pull a little bit of that. Let's cut a little bit more off. And don't be afraid to cut your embellishments and make them work for you, right? Do not be afraid to do that. Just to pull a little bit of that black in, okay? I'm loving it, so we're not going to use that one. We can stick that back on our sticker sheet. Okay, so we are going to use just a black pen. I'm going to flip this upside down. And this is just a black, actually this is my Cricut pen. And it has an extremely fine tip, and that's why I'm using this one. And that just will make it look like it actually has a banner. Let's go ahead and take these off. I'm loving this, friends. I'm loving this. We're going to do a little fussy cutting here on some poinsettias. And then I can actually put this in the album, which I will apologize ahead of time for the glare, but I can actually put that in the album and put the flip-flaps on. So I think over here, really small, sharp scissors. You guys, if you follow me, you know one of the things that I love to do when I have a bold, busy paper is I like to fussy cut elements out of that bold, busy paper. And I'm just choosing this like little section of a poinsettia with some leaves. And I keep moving my things around. I may not be able to get that foam tape up. Let's just leave that for a minute. And then let's come in here and grab this one that has leaves. And let's just real quickly fussy cut that. Fussy cutting is something, when I first started fussy cutting, I hated it. I hated it. But when I was fussy cutting, I was trying desperately to be a perfectionist when I was fussy cutting. You do not have to be a perfectionist when you fussy cut at all. Here's the thing, as a scrapbooker, I have finally had to just say, nobody's going to critique when I'm gone. And these albums are, which as I get Ashley's, I have holding albums all throughout the years because I'm not a chronological scrapbooker at all. And as I create, then when I go back to, I've started doing this now, as I go back to a particular year, like right now, I had so many in 2002 that I needed to just choose what did I need to finish out 2002 for Ashley. Same way with John. I'm going back and doing that with Liliana, you know, same thing. And when I'm gone, they're not going to say, oh, Nene did XYZ or Nene did not do XYZ, right? They're not going to say that. So don't be so critical of yourself as a scrapbooker. I think my biggest piece of advice is let go of perfectionism. Just create things that make you happy. Tell your story. I'm going to fuss with this. Y'all, it couldn't be me if I didn't fuss, right? It could not be me if I did not fuss. Now, over here, I think I am going to let's do this one without the green leaves. And you see how fun this is to just use things that you're fussy cutting as embellishment. If you're a person like me and you do not like these busy type papers, this is perfect for you. And this is going to tuck right in behind there. And then we're going to come back with a little bit of a leaf. And I think I'm going to pull this little holly sprig right here that may be a little bit harder to fussy cut. But we are going to make it work. And I'm just sort of wiggling my paper, wiggling my scissors. This does not have to be perfect. And normally I would not show you all the fussy cutting. I would try to edit this out. But fussy cutting is a big part of how I'm embellishing this little page. I think I want to lift that just a little and tuck it under. And then I need like just a little right here. Let's fussy cut that little holly right here. I could pull my stamps out because I know that these are in. I have these on a stamp set that matches this paper collection, but I did not want to use stamps. I'm not going to worry about that berry because it would not be seen. I didn't want to pull my stamps out on this layout today. I just wanted to use paper. Sometimes I challenge myself, right? Had I stamped, this would have been very pretty in a different way, but I did not want to stamp today. There we go. Other than a little bit, I think I'm going to add a little bit of gold splatter and some enamel dots. And this page is finished. Now let's come over and look at, I don't have a lot I can do over here because this is sort of getting busy on me already. Let's go in with this one. Whoops, just cut that leaf off. We'll make it work. That's definitely one of the things that I hope to show you, is that just because I cut that little green leaf off doesn't mean I can't use that. We just get creative in where we tuck it so that you can't see it. Almost cut another leaf off. I swear, having a little bit of a visual impairment whenever you're doing things like this creates its own little challenge. And thank you guys so very much for sticking with us. Throughout this process. I think maybe right there. And then let's come back with some holly up here. I'm not going to do a poinsettia. Up here we're just going to do some holly and some pine to stick up there. And this page is going to be finished minus some gold splatter and some enamel dots. Again, I'm just sort of wiggly here. Just sort of wiggly, and where I'm definitely using this on a white base page. Doesn't have to be perfection. And then let's trim this one. This is a little bit darker green holly. Oh, I can't wait to throw down a little bit of gold. Okay, I think I'm liking that right there, friends. And on this, I'm just going to use my liquid glue. Almost finished. I love it. And so, let's pull in a gold shimmer brush. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it right on my photos. This is an old piece of craft mat. These I'm going to take off because I don't want the gold to get on the photo. This is Close to My Heart Gold Shimmer Brush. And my luck, it's probably almost empty. No, there we go. I was going to say, my luck, it's probably almost empty. I love it. And then let's just come in and just drop in a little bit of gold where the center of that poinsettia would be. I love that, friends. Wait till I hold it up and show you. Same thing over here. Let's go ahead and just drop in some gold. And then over here, oh, I love it. Can't tell you how much I love it. And then, you know how I clean up here. Oh, let's come back in and put a little right in there. You know how I clean up, friends? I like to use a microfiber towel. And then we are just going to wipe this area up. And you know what? I thought I was going to do some enamel dots. I don't know that I'm going to do enamel dots, friends. I think this is good to go the way it is. What do you think? I'm just trying to clear a little space over here off my desk. Let me show you guys what that looks like. Can you see that gold? Doesn't that just finish that off beautifully? And see how I put that in the poinsettia there? Love it. And look what that did over here. Just that little hint of gold. I thought I was going to do enamel dots, but I'm going to tell you, friends, I think I'm finished. Let me make sure this is dry. And we will go ahead and put these in. Well, no, I can't put them in the book because I need to journal. But these are going to have flip flaps. And I wanted to show you when I do two flip flaps right beside each other, how I do it. I always have one, which I could have this one open because it's going to be on the page protector. So I could have it open that way. But what I'll do here, friends, is one will lay over the other because these are so close together. So probably the 4x6 will sort of lay over this one a little bit. Let me see if I have So let's change that. Normally I would do the one that flips horizontally. We're going to do the vertical one, but lay it horizontally, and that way it will open this way on your page protector, and this one will open this way on your page protector. So when you're working with flip flaps, peekaboo pockets, be thoughtful of that too. So there you have it, friends, and I know that has a gloss on it, but just so you can see how that's going to be. I hope that you enjoyed this project recipe number 37. And that means we only have 3 more left to go for this year. Wow. Thank you so much for joining us for this series. Here's another look at the project recipe, the cutting guide, and the sketch. So thank you so much for joining us for this series so far. And I will see you soon. Oh, and also this is Throwback Thursday, or Take Me Back Thursday, because these are pictures from 2002. So they take me back Thursday. All right, friends, happy scrapping.